Hey, my mates. Okay, cool. Yeah, a lot of really good looking stuff there. Okay, very, very happy with the movement pattern, where the club is setting, how you're trying to use your body and deliver the club, how you're releasing the club, the general strike. Okay, a lot of really, really good stuff there. So just a little bit of fine tuning here, and obviously doing things that are a little bit more efficient, a little bit more repetitive, just slowly. Okay, so it's going to be slow, little polished work now. And yeah, I think things like what you're talking about learning a little bit more about the subtle differences in the different clubs, bit of shot selection, alignment, that type of stuff, right? Anyway, so let's just touch on that for a second, okay? So when we're talking about 4-iron, 5-iron, 6-iron, I mean any club, but obviously right now that's your question that you've had, right? So it's not getting up in the air. Right? So what we're saying essentially, and this is why I wanted the sky track, but let me try and explain. So what we want to understand essentially is the launch angle. So what angle is the ball launching at? Okay? And everyone has a pretty sort of, I don't want to say specific, but a launch angle that suits them. Okay? Generally for 6-iron, these things depend a little bit on your speed and your angle of attack. You have a lot of speed, your angle of attack is pretty good, so that's fine. But generally speaking, a launch angle is somewhere around about 16 to 18 degrees, depending. Okay? And how we work out launch angle is, okay, the loft on the club, and now remember the loft on the club is not the loft you deliver, because the handle is always a little bit forward. Okay? So your 6-iron is going to have about 30 degrees of loft, something like that. Okay? And then the handle forward, say, let's call it, for argument's sake, let's call it 10 degrees. Okay, it's probably less, but let's call it 10 degrees. That gives us down to 20. All right? So that's the loft you deliver to the golf ball. Okay? And then obviously you've got to minus or add, if you want to look at it that way, the angle of attack. Okay? So the angle the club is coming down at. All right? So a driver is the only one where you're adding loft. Okay, 3-wood and probably 4-iron, you want to be as level as possible. Still going to be a negative 2 degrees. That means 2 degrees on the way down. Now, 2 degrees is just nothing, right? Okay, so anything under 10 degrees is considered pretty good and pretty shallow, all right? But let's just say you're 5 or 6 degrees with your angle of attack, all right? Then you've got the handle leading, you've got 30 degrees to start off with, all right? And all that equates to then a launch angle of about 14 or 15 degrees. Okay, it's just basically not enough. Okay, the speed issue is fine. Now, you know, you've got to be careful about these things, sort of watching TV and watching YouTube and stuff like that. Okay, there's very few sort of average amateur golfers who can hit or bottom out, okay, or their divots start, as you say, 2 or 3 inches ahead of the ball with a 6-iron, and they're going to have enough speed and enough loft to get that ball to a decent apex or a decent height. Okay, so this whole thing, that's the complicated version, okay, or that's the kind of in-depth explanation of the launch conditions, all right? All right, this whole thing is very, very simple, much simpler than you think, okay? We don't want to bottom out ahead of the ball with a 6 and a 5-iron. It's just, we don't want to do it. That's a punch or a knockdown shot, all right? So do everything that you're doing exactly the same, all right? And just move that ball position about a ball 2 inches forward. And if you bottom out kind of exactly at the bottom of the ball, or kind of where the front of the ball is, if your divot starts there, or even there, all right, that's going to give you that extra 3-4 degrees you want. Okay, all of a sudden it's going to reach a nice apex. Okay, so it's simple as that. Right, 4-iron, okay, I think you've got to be as level as possible. Right, now, cool part of this is, as we move that ball position forward, okay, we also shallow out the angle of attack slightly. Okay, so that's really cool. Right, so learning to de-loft, the bottom out ahead of the ball, release late is awesome. It's part of the journey. Okay, but you can overdo it and then you end up hitting these little low punch shots. Okay, if you think about 8 or 9-iron, all right, your 8-iron should be about 38 degrees, 37 degrees, somewhere around there. Okay, so now 38 minus the 10 of lead, 28. Okay, you can get 10 degrees angle of attack there, and that ball's still going to launch at 18, and it's still going to get a nice apex. because it's also with 8s, I'm going to have a more backspin on. Okay, again, you don't know this stuff or think about the numbers or feel the numbers as you hit it. It's just understanding the data and then what you're trying to do. Okay, so wedges and 8-iron and 9-iron bottoming out somewhere there, correct. 6-iron is not going to work, 5-iron is not going to work, 4-iron is definitely not going to work. Okay, so just move that ball position a little bit forward, get your bottom out point right at the golf ball. I'll take front of the golf ball. So if you've hit that and then your divot starts there, great. Okay, but really simple, just move that ball position a little bit forward and keep doing everything that you do. Okay, right. Okay, into your work and the reviews there, you can obviously see what I'm talking about, some real good looking stuff. Okay, but we are getting a bit snappy there. So then the club's coming a little inside. By the time you set it, it's nice, but I just worry that you're promoting club things to move a little bit this way in the second bit of that backswing. Okay, so let's just fix that leg, please. Now, if you need that hip rotation to finish the backswing, that's fine. Okay, just try not to let the knee move too much, but more importantly, make that move later in the backswing. So not as soon as you take the club away. Kind of take the club away and it's snapping in there already. Okay, so we're going to warm up then with some L2Ls. Okay, and focusing on basically not moving that leg because now it's an L2L, so you don't need to shift weight and really pivot. Okay, so just a little L shape. Keep this nice and solid, no moving around. Okay, little L shape. Okay, and just hit him from there. And obviously, I want to see the videos. Yeah, and then basically, as we get moving to the full swing, we're saying the takeaway is great. It's online. It's just going a little under with the rotation. So what are we saying? We're saying we want to set it first, then let the hip and the right knee turn a little bit. Then you can sequence it. Okay, right, from there the sequencing and the arm depth coming through, okay, and the swing path and the follow through and the right knee and right heel. Yes, it's looking great. It's looking fantastic. Okay, I'm super happy. All right, so the only other thing we're going to push is seeing if we can really get those hips going for a little bit longer, because basically the change of direction is great. The hips are beautiful, slotting the arms on plane, and then they just stall a little bit early, and you should be able to see when you stall just a little bit of a stand up. Okay, so we want to obviously fire past impact. Okay, hit the ball in our posture and then come up. Right, so then the second bit of the work is just getting those hips going for longer. Okay, really feel like your hips are facing the target by the time you hit the golf ball. Okay, so much good stuff, but impact is looking like that. We want impact to look, not quite, but something like that, right? And you can see when I do it how my chest automatically kind of goes a little lower, so we lose that. Okay, so any little thins, maybe little toe draws, okay, that's the cause. Stalling, and then a little sort of stand up. Okay, so first off the work, little L2Ls to warm up with a really neutral, even rigid right leg, it's fine. Okay, and then into your swings, all right, try and keep that there as long as possible. If it has to go right at the end of the backswing, that's fine, but try and keep it there as long as possible. Second part of the work, open those hips before you hit the golf ball. Okay, make sure the belt buckle's facing in front of the target by the time you strike it. Alrighty, cool. Thanks, mate. Great to be back to work. Listen, we're pushing this thing, hey? Got to understand that. There's very, very now high level and small changes. Okay, there's so much good stuff here. Okay, I don't want to fiddle too much. And then just remember that ball position with the longer clubs. All right. If you understand the long definition, whatever, great. Okay, but don't have to worry about it too much. I'm just explaining it. All right. Thank you, my mate. Talk to you later.